Well, I'm wet. Welcome to the show. We are going to be doing the stock market update today. I will remind you as I switch the screen here to go up in the top right corner, click on the little eye icon that'll pull out a poll, and you can vote in next week's stock market fluctuation. Now, this is one day late. I apologize for that. I was preoccupied yesterday getting completely wrecked in flag football, but I wanted to make sure that I got a stock market update out as soon as possible, so here I am on the next possible day doing the stock market update. So I will assure you that the extra day did not change anything in the stock market poll because I didn't receive any extra votes, and I doubt that the one less day in the next week will change too much because we haven't had the biggest turnout in the stock market polls, but I am excited to see how this week plays out due to the fact that we did have some reinvestment even on my own behalf in the stock market, so there is some definite change that should be happening. And from what I can see in the actual polls, I think I'm going to be pretty happy this week, but we will see how happy I am. So on that note, I will put in the stock market voting poll percentages. So, red received a 0% of the vote. Yellow received a 66% of the vote. Green received a 0% of the vote. Blue received a 33% of the vote. And 12 received a 0% of the vote. Now, in all transparency, I will mention that I am pretty sure the voting count is the way it was because the people who voted for yellow were myself and Thomas, the two people who changed to yellow. Hence, me claiming that more votes makes things more theoretically fair in terms of the entire market, but I will play the game how it presents itself to me. So I am going to see how things play out. So we are going to check the market factor and we will see what that turns out to be. And that is 18, which is relatively an average day. Sorry for hitting the mic there. But it is slightly on the beneficial side in terms of the entire market's value. So we are seeing that yellow has risen from its yellowy grave to a new, well, not necessarily a new high, but a local maximum in the current stock market values. But we will see that for ourselves when we go look at the market trends. So I am going to zero out the market factor. We're going to copy these, and we are going to paste them numerically into the market trends chart here. So you can see red has gone down slightly below where yellow now currently is. So you can see that yellow was only where it at its low for about a week, and it has made up for about 2 weeks worth of losses. Red has gone down, losing about what it gained last week, and green has gone down as well, continuing its trend. It seems to be somewhat of a almost exponential oscillation, judging by the current situation. 12 seems to be reaching the top of a hump, although it is quite robust in terms of the stock market. So we are seeing that it is still the top dog. And blue being our arguably most consistent stock, other than red being consistently low. It is back to about where it started. So that is something to mention. So we are going to go check out the scoreboard. Now, right off the bat, I can see some significant differences in two of the numbers compared to the others, just by their first digits. But we are going to sort them anyways to see the actual standings from largest to smallest. And Thomas is reaping the benefits of his change in investment. Now, this does raise the question of whether I should sell out of yellow now, because I feel like yellow, in terms of its predicted cost, is not going to be above average. It's going to stay below that 100% unless we see a change in the influx of who is voting in the stock market. Now, obviously, with a pushing trend of Thomas and myself, we could technically keep voting for yellow, and assuming that we don't see a larger turnout in the stock market polls, we should be continuing that increase. But I don't want to play it that way. I want to play the way that I would if I were expecting normal things to be happening. So I'm thinking I'm going to perhaps even out my portfolio, um, just because of how, or not necessarily even out. I think that would be a poor choice. Perhaps spreading some back into green and 12, just so the stocks that tend to do better are the ones that I have represented in my portfolio. So let's see, green and blue. So blue just went up, but green and 12 just took a hit. They didn't take too much of a hit. They took 18 points, which is still pretty significant. But we don't have the contestants' trends figured out. And so you can see that 12, I don't know that it necessarily has too much room for improvement. Green, on the other hand, has a lot of room for improvement. So maybe I should wait on 12 to come down a little bit. But I do think I am going to move some of my assets to green. I think that would be a solid investment. And at the moment, I am sitting pretty solid at the top of the leaderboard by a magnitude of about 3.5, maybe a little bit more. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to sell out completely of yellow, put a little bit back in green, and as a failsafe, I'm going to keep some of that in my balance in case 12 drops to a point where I can reinvest into 12. Because I think in terms of increasing my total asset value, I'm not necessarily in a position where I need to do so. So maybe I should play the conservative game and not lose as much money on a given drop in the market. Because having 8,000 stock in yellow isn't necessarily a conservative investment. So I think that's what we're going to do. I have 7,994. We're going to multiply that by 76. So in yellow alone, I have 607,544 Jonos at my disposal. So we are going to do what we need with that. And so I'm just going to add 6 onto there because of bookkeeping with my current balance. That brings me up to 607,550, and I am going to buy, let's say, 1,000 greens. I think that's a solid investment. Now, I don't know. Maybe we should do a little bit more with that. Let's say perhaps. Let me see if I can do this. If I can get 2,000 of green and 1,000 of blue, then that might be something to take into account. I'm going to go for the green first. So if we take 87 and 87 times 1,000 is 87,000. So that's really not a problem. 87 times 2,000 is, I could do it in my head, but I have a calculator, 174,000. So if I subtract that from our 600, oh, sorry, I subtracted the wrong number. We are going to have 433,550 left over. So, if I do so, I can keep track of this. So if I hit 0 on there, if I hit 2,000 here. I'm going to put 0 here for now. Then in terms of blue, we are going to purchase 1,000 blue, which will be another 103,000. So we're going to subtract 103,000 from our current leftover assets, leaving 330,550 in our bank. Blue is going to have 2,000, and what we should see is that the total assets have not changed in up or down. So I think that is solid. As I mentioned, I do want to see if 12 has any can provide any more room for improvement before investing, just so I make sure that I'm making something out of my conservative investment as opposed to conservatively losing money. So I think that is where I'm going to stay, probably for a while. As you can see, we are currently in the, I believe, 17th week. So there's still a large portion of the stock market competition to play out, but at the moment I'm sitting in a very nice position. So we are going to add these over, and in the meantime I will just chat with you. If you want to know why I am covered in liquid, that is because I chose to go to the grocery store at the exact time that Mother Nature decided to start pouring. Now, it didn't start pouring until I was leaving the grocery store, which caused a problem because I didn't think to bring an umbrella when I was leaving for the grocery store, but that wouldn't have necessarily helped too much due to the fact that I didn't have any available hands leaving the grocery store. So all of my groceries got wet. That wasn't too much of a problem due to the fact that I didn't get anything that could be destroyed, although all of the cardboard boxes that were involved are somewhat soggy now. Yeah, so I am just sitting in my cold, damp clothing, but I'll fix that after the stream. I just wanted to, keep it interesting for the intro, I guess. So we have Dan. And so I think Dan is still in third, if I remember correctly. So he's still up there because 12 is doing so well. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's the value of 12. So times 1,000. So he's still doing fine. But Thomas did make a significant improvement from his investment, so that is nice to see. That we are having some active participation from the contestants of the stream. I did take Khalil, correct? Yes, okay. So I'm going to grab Megan, paste, and then we're going to go for Carly, paste. Carly hasn't made too much movement in the past few weeks. That's an interesting thing to keep in mind. I am making it somewhat skewed to look at the graph. It is difficult to decipher the magnitude of people's relative leads due to the significance of my current lead, although it's going to get oh no, so that is already factoring in how bad it is right now. So if we get James, and then finally, our current silver place competitor is Thomas. And that should be a relatively large spike. So yeah, you can see that right there. Thomas is the one outlier in the current fluctuation. Most of the people seem to be following the market, as it seems for right here. Megan is actually on a somewhat increase in rise. It is interesting to see that a lot of people went down although the market went up. As I mentioned, the market did not go up significantly, and a lot of people have investments in green and 12, which I believe is the reason for this slight downwards trend of the entire market. So if we look, we should see that I am, of course, in first, as you can see, but Thomas is now in second. That is Dan in third, and then Khalil holding up fourth by a decent margin from the rest of the pack, where we see that OC, I believe that is Mr. Positive, and Carly are all bundled together quite closely. Oh, is that James? James is in the mix. So there's four people right here, and then Megan is right about on the market average right now. But that's nothing to complain about. Although she is technically under the average right now, she's fairly close in terms of the magnitude of the variance of the market. So it is not something to bat an eye at. So that is the current state of the market. I will remind you, if you have not already, please go up in the top right corner, click the little eye icon, and vote in the poll for next week's fluctuation. Hopefully that fluctuation will be done on a Thursday, although I may have the same time restrictions on Thursday, so on next Thursday, so we will see. But for now, I think I'm going to be signing off. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I don't really have any closing statements. So I'm going to the UCF game tomorrow. So go Knights. Hopefully we can beat Memphis. But as I mentioned, thank you for watching, and I'm going to be signing. So goodbye.